Welcome back, humor consumers, to the Life Happens, Laugh Anyway podcast. I'm comedian Tracy DeGraaf.
And I'm Cathrine, co-host and bestie.
Hello, Cathrine.
Hi, Tracy.
How are you?
I'm good.
Good.
I'm really good.
Hanging in there?
Yeah. And you?
I'm great.
Good. My back hurts, but I'm good.
Mine too.
Just had to say that.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's a thing. I just got off the phone with my friend Patty.
Yeah.
And we're about the same age. And all we talked about was our ailments, our surgeries, our joints, your muscles,
right.
Stuff.
Where your body is conjoined.
Where things are falling apart in the 50s here, in the nifty 50s.
I know. Yeah.
But it's going to be okay.
Mm-hmm.
And Cathrine and I, when we're done recording this podcast, we're heading to the massage lady.
Oh, yeah. I'm really looking forward to it.
She's fantastic.
She really is.
Yeah. Her name is Nina. Mm-hmm. And the business that she has is called Blue Lotus Massage.
Yes.
She's phenomenal.
She has magic.
I don't know how she does it because she's a small person.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're getting the massage, it feels like, I don't know, like a small person couldn't possibly do that.
Get their little hands to do it. Because I'm sure her hands ache after.
Maybe, well, because our eyes are closed usually when we're getting massages, right? Mm-hmm. So maybe she pulls some kind of stuff out that you don't really see.
Like her elbow and just dig it in there. I don't know. Yeah. But
it's therapeutic massage, by the way. So she does relaxation massage as well, but I go so that I can continue to be.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I don't go just because.
Without crying.
Yes. Mm-hmm. I don't go just for the luxury of it. I go
come on now. Yeah, a little bit.
Well, that's a bonus, but, it is a luxury to be able to go get a massage, so I'm not like signed up to get one once a week. If I had unlimited funds, I would, Nina, I might just run off with her.
Because I'm definitely guilty of sometimes going either because you are going.
Yeah.
Or I just want.
Because you have FOMO. You don't want me to have massage without you. Oh, the light just went out.
See, because you lied.
No, that's God saying, I agree.
Yeah, right. Okay.
Anyway, we totally got off track and we haven't even got on the track yet.
That's okay.
Do you know
what is our track?
Wait. When I was talking to Patty, she says, because I told her you were coming and we were going to do this episode on Clutter. And she says, by the way, you both have ADD or whatever. And I go, I know. She said that's what makes it fun. You never know.
Yeah, what rabbit
out, trail.
Neither do we.
Exactly. Yeah. So this is spontaneous. All right, well, let's get down to business. This is why we have
an outline.
Yes, a piece of paper.
We have to
with words on it.
Yeah.
This is episode number
81.
We're getting there.
I know.
This is great. Mm-hmm. And today is July 20th that it's going to be published. That's the publishing day.
I was about to say it's not July 20th, but the day it drops.
Drops. That's such a cool word. We're so hip.
Yeah.
No, today is July 12th, but this is dropping on the 20th, so very exciting. We have 3 takeaways from our episode on clutter and hoarding.
Mm-hmm. What are they?
The title. We're going to talk about what is it, especially hoarding. Mm-hmm. What is hoarding? Mm-hmm. And you have discovered some facts about it, so we're going to go over that. We both watched an episode of Hoarders with this woman, Martha.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about that. I'm going to discuss some of my clutter experience because as a mother of 5 boys, I've come through the tunnel, friends. Mm-hmm. The clutter tunnel.
Yeah.
And I'm much better now.
Definitely you are.
Much better. Mm-hmm. And it feels so good.
Yeah.
It was all their fault. All right. And then finally, we're going to walk away with knowing the signs.
Yeah.
What are the signs that, hey, this is kind of a problem that we could use some support?
Yeah.
Some professional help. Because that's really the bottom line.
Right.
Okay. And then this episode is sponsored by
Ron and Kenny, our husbands.
Puffin.
Yeah.
That's all you need to know.
Right.
Let's move on.
Yeah. Good idea.
Yeah. And then stay tuned. If you're just tuning in to us for the first time, stay to the end because we always close with something inspirational.
Yeah.
We point to the Bible and Jesus.
That's right.
Because
speaking of stay to the end, that's why I didn't really Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm waiting.
Oh.
Waiting to hear your words of wisdom.
You can't see, folks, listeners, but she had a look like somebody else is in the room, like some kind of invisible person.
This is why we need to put this podcast on video.
Oh,
this thing is going to blow
but you
up,
know what?
Catherine.
If we put it on video and it's live, I can't edit then.
So, all the better. That's like a tightrope walk. People show up to watch that kind of stuff.
Do you know how many times
There's no
I
net.
edit our ums?
Okay, well, then we would be more disciplined not to say it.
Okay. Yeah, right.
Right,
Anyway.
I lost track of where we were.
Well, I was about to say, speaking of getting to the end,
yes.
I was thinking about this last night and this morning. I'm like, I wonder if we lose people every time we talk about puffin.
Do we?
I don't know, but, it's kind of...
Do we care? We do.
Well, yeah, I don't want to lose people.
Right, because they're our sponsors, Puffin. We're married to them. They're not going anywhere.
No,
because they'd have to give
them.
us half of everything.
I'm not worried about them losing them. I'm talking about our listeners. They're like, oh, gag.
Well,
I don't want to hear this again about poo and muffin.
Yeah.
AKA puffin.
Right.
Now I said it. Now we can move on.
I'm sorry. That is hilarious.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Oh, I almost said but I went, oh.
I might have said I don't
That's
even know.
okay. If you said it. Listen, listeners.
Yeah.
We're just two people here. We're
not professionals.
There's no crew.
Well, you are. I'm not. So I'm off the hook.
Whatever.
There's no excuse for you, Tracy.
We both have fallen in love with On the Dock, which that's a fun podcast.
It is.
If you love our podcast, check out On the Dock as well.
But don't love theirs more.
Right. Don't do
right?
that. Right.
No.
Love ours.
Yeah.
And love theirs.
Yes.
They're two gals that are from Alabama, Misty and Amaryllis. Mm-hmm. And
they're funny.
They are very
and they're
funny.
fun to listen to.
And fun to listen to. And they're just amateurs like us, too. They're just two people.
Yeah.
Putting it out there.
I so laughed. They were talking about the card tables that they do the podcast on. They're like, we're not professional podcasters. And then they talked about the card tables.
Right.
But I think Misty has the nicer one and one was from Aldi. And I was like, oh my gosh, that is so much like us. I mean, our table is from Marketplace,
Facebook.
Thrifting.
Yeah, we found it on Marketplace. Mm-hmm. But here's the thing that I was thinking of about them. Sometimes they reference like Ryan, the tech guy. Get it together, Ryan. Oh, yeah. And there is no Ryan or whatever the name is.
Yeah.
That's us too. Catherine is our tech person and she is not techie.
Oh my gosh. And I have no patience with technology, yet I do the editing.
You do it.
Yeah, look at me.
All right. Let me look at my handy dandy outline and see where we're going. Okay, so stay tuned all the way to the end for our inspirational close, and then we're going to give you a call to action in our next episode. So that's the lineup. Mm-hmm. All right, let's roll.
All right.
Start recording now.
Okay, we're going to talk about hoarding and what it is.
Yes, what is it, Catherine?
Well, hoarding is a disorder, and it's a persistent difficulty discarding or parting with possessions because of a perceived need to save them. A person with hoarding disorder experiences distress at the thought of getting rid of items.
Yeah.
Have you known people like that?
Yeah.
I have too. Excessive accumulation of items, regardless of actual value, occurs. Those are the marks of somebody who struggles with it.
And obviously that's an extreme because a disorder and if you have a hoard, of some sort, like you see on Hoarders, the TV show, that is different from having a little clutter.
Collection. Having a collection is different according to the Mayo Clinic.
That's not what I was going to say.
Okay.
But thank you for your insight.
Come on now.
I was going to say hoarding is different than just having a little clutter, just a little bit of clutter, not necessarily a collection like they said on the Mayo Clinic thing, but having just everyday kind of little clutter, little pile here, little pile there. You can still get through the house. The fire department's not going to have a problem getting in or getting out.
Right.
The kids aren't going to be hauled away.
Right.
But you just got a little clutter.
Yeah, I
There's
mean,
a
if you're a little bit disorganized and you don't know where to put stuff, those
Right.
that's not hoarding.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm going to talk about that when I talk about my own thing, because I'm not a hoarder.
Beware, folks. She's got this look on her face like, I'm going to talk about
I've got ideas.
Mm-hmm.
All right, you go ahead with your whatever you got written down.
All right. Well, hoarding often creates such cramped living conditions that homes may be filled to the capacity with only narrow pathways winding through stacks of clutter. Yeah.
That's the kind of stuff you see on Hoarders.
Yeah. Countertops, sinks, stoves, desks, stairways, and virtually all other surfaces are usually piled with stuff. Yeah. And when there's no more room inside, the clutter may spread to the garage, vehicles, yard, and other storage facilities. And it could be, mild to severe, just like with any case.
Right.
And, it doesn't necessarily have to be to that point either, with just a pathway in your home. Because, well, it even says just, mild.
Well, the one that we watched, the Hoarder episode that we watched yesterday, what was the guy's name? He was a designer. Paul. Mm-hmm. Yeah. His place didn't look too bad. Mm-hmm. It wasn't the same as Martha, who we're going to talk about.
Yeah.
But Paul was a graphic designer who went through an extreme loss, and then he just couldn't let go of things. He just emotionally could not do it.
Yeah. He was, definitely struggling and emotional.
Oh, it was heartbreaking. Mm-hmm. But his home wasn't to the point where it was stacked floor to ceiling and couldn't walk through, and like there wasn't like a rotting pumpkin in the middle of a bunch of bills and such like that.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Perfect example
right.
of how it can be, different with different people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Heartbreak.
Do you remember when we went to that, I don't know, maybe you weren't with me. We went to this old theater in Indiana, I think in Wolcott, actually. And it had been converted from this, old rundown theater, but renovated. But the person who had previously owned it was a hoarder, according to the new buyer.
Okay.
And it was floor to ceiling packed. And that it was only a pathway through this building. Can you imagine?
Well, I can imagine because of Hoarders on TLC, on their show. I can imagine it because I've seen it. But I've not seen it personally in my own world. It's tough to think about it. Like, it's tough to imagine it, to be honest.
Right.
But my heart hurts for people who are in that much pain. Like when I saw Paul, when he discovered the remains of his loved one, and he had lost him. He had lost the remains, and it was heartbreaking to him that he had lost such a sacred item as the remains of his loved one.
Yeah, and he felt so guilty.
Oh, horrible.
Yeah.
And then when he found the remains, or the crew found him or whatever, just the relief that he had.
Yeah.
So, anyway.
I know. Mm-hmm. Well, speaking of clutter and the differences, here are some of the symptoms.
Okay. Symptoms of what? Hoarding?
Symptoms of hoarding.
You're a hoarder now if you have this. All right.
Well, there's symptoms.
Okay, so lay it on me. Let's see if I
Getting
qualify.
and saving an excessive number of items, gradual buildup of clutter in living spaces, and difficulty discarding things are usually the first signs and symptoms of hoarding disorder, which often surfaces during the teenage to early adult years. I read that it typically begins at about 11 or 12, but that it doesn't get to the point where people are noticing and it's a real problem in living conditions till they're in their 50s or 60s.
Well, in the cases that we watched in preparation for this podcast, it seemed like there were triggering effects. There were little triggers that happened that all of a sudden these people went from one way to a different way.
Yeah, and I think it's in this particular article with the Mayo Clinic, that really they don't know what causes hoarding. Definitely there are triggers of trauma, but now it didn't say this part. I'm saying this part, there's not a single person in this world that is going to be without some kind of trauma. So how a person responds to trauma is different, as we know. And some just have this response.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, I think something that just flew through my brain is to remember that when there are disorders or diseases of the mind, because hoarding is a disorder, a mental disorder, they also have cures just like other diseases and disorders. Don't despair that if you or your loved one is going down this path, no matter how far you are on that path, there are professionals who can come in and rescue you.
Yeah, there's treatment. That. Right, exactly.
So that's hope.
Yes.
Very good.
Yeah. I was going to read this, but we just talked about it. As a person grows older, he or she typically starts acquiring things for which there is no immediate need or space.
Yeah.
Those are, more symptoms.
Well, that little factoid about getting older, you continue to acquire things, that's true of everyone. We saw that working in the consignment store. When someone in the family would pass away, they have all these Hummels, they have precious moments, they have all these clothes, all the stuff. Nobody in the family wants it. How about flatware, silverware?
Oh, yeah.
All that stuff,
right.
China, crystal. Nobody wants it.
And now that you're saying that too, and to think about how that affects the family members, because here they are, they're stuck with this stuff, and they too, by a little bit of codependency, really, they feel they can't just get rid of it.
Right, because they feel guilty.
They want to, but this is how it's like a domino effect.
Right. So if you're listening to our voices right now and you're sitting on grandma's china and nobody's looked at it for 20 years or 30 years or 10 years or whatever it is, and you look down the pipe at the ancestors below you and they don't want it, do them a favor and donate it somewhere today.
Right.
So that they don't have to do it.
Yeah.
You do it.
I was just talking to my mother-in-law yesterday, and I was telling her about the podcast we're about to do, and I had told her how I always knew that. I mean, she just is not only is she not a collector of anything, but she's really simplistic.
Yeah.
And anyway, she went on to say, she's like, when I cleaned out my mom's place when her mom died, she said to herself, because she felt like it was overwhelming. And I remember when her mom had passed, because we went to the house too, because she said, just, take what you want. I didn't think it was so bad.
Yeah.
But anyway, and my mother-in-law, Judy, had said, I knew I didn't want to do that with my kids. Yeah. I don't want to have hardly anything for them to have to go through. So, yeah.
I think that's a good plan.
I do too.
Makes me want to go through some more books and such. Move it along.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, problems with hoarding gradually develop over time and tend to be a private behavior. Often significant clutter has developed by the time it reaches the attention of others.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and that's especially true if others are not around. So we were talking about this previous to recording, that oftentimes when you're alone, the hoarding situation can get out of control because there's nobody there kind of holding you accountable, and it can grow.
Yeah.
Like yeast.
Right.
And,
Yeah. And it's funny too that even though that these symptoms can start when one is like 11 or 12 or, a teenager, obviously it doesn't become really noticeable till later, but often by middle age, the symptoms are severe and harder to treat. Not untreatable,
right?
Just harder.
Yeah.
So I guess I'm just pointing out, if you see the signs now, just go ahead and
work on it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, anyway, other signs and symptoms may include excessively acquiring items that are not needed or which there's no space. Persistent difficulty throwing out or parting with your things, regardless of actual value. Yeah, I've heard things like that throughout my lifetime of people saying, but I can't. Well, working at Evelina's, like you pointed out. Oh my gosh, that happened all the time.
And it is a process of decision making that people struggle with, and that's why you don't get rid of stuff.
Actually, those are the people that struggle with hoarding the most. The ones that are indecisive, disorganized, depressed, and who suffer from anxiety.
And what they might just need in that, so let's say, for example, that you're indecisive. You have a hard time making the decision, but once you get past that and you can make the decision, well, then you can make the decision. So what is it that you need help with? Well, that Paul, who we watched, he had an art collection that could have been its own gallery.
Yeah.
And he had to let go of this massive collection because it was exceeding the space that he had for it.
Yeah.
So what did the experts do? They gave the art to, they had volunteers or whatever that would line up down the street, each holding a piece of art, and they got in front of him and he made a snap decision.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
And
he needed help.
That's all he needed.
Right.
It wasn't that he couldn't make a decision. He just needed some help making the decision.
Yeah, some encouragement.
Yeah.
Right.
So if somebody's listening to us and they've got, say, paper clutter, right? Maybe they just need help making decisions about that paper clutter.
Exactly. I've had to have some encouragement and help. And
there's a whole industry out there.
Yeah.
The professional organizers industry. Our friend Emily Smith, she helped me years ago.
Right.
When I was just suffering under a pile of children.
Yeah.
And laundry and paper clutter.
Yeah.
And we found money we found paper money in my paper clutter.
Oh,
like
my
$30.
Gosh. Cool.
I know.
Do you remember that time I was going to give away, well, not give away, but sell at the consignment store some of my tops that had some pockets, and I found $200.
I do remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, I'm glad I checked my pocket before I gave that away.
Yeah, because you might not have seen it again.
Yeah. Another sign or symptom is feeling a need to save these items and being upset by the thought of discarding them. Building up of clutter to the point where rooms become unusable, which we talked about that. Having a tendency toward indecisiveness, perfectionism. I can totally relate to that. Yeah.
Perfectionism is a killer.
Yeah. Avoidance, procrastination, and problems with planning and organizing.
All of it.
Yeah.
And if you suffer from more than one of those things, watch out.
Yeah. Well, just, yeah.
You know, we also did an episode on minimalism, and I'm not sure if that's when we talked about storage. Was that one or something else? But there was a huge storage.
Oh, it is the one.
Okay.
Yeah. The booming business who could fit how many storage units in the United States?
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Right. So if you're one who has a storage unit and you're thinking right now, I don't even know what's in there, go back and listen to our episode on minimalism and see if it can spark some kind of motivation to help you get rid of that storage unit.
Yeah.
That's a lot of money every month.
Yes.
You could just rebuy everything in there.
No kidding. Yeah.
Or not.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, anyway.
What else? Is that it?
Well, that's it for the signs and symptoms. But these are, and then this that I'm about to read are things that hoarding people tell themselves. This is why they save the stuff.
Well, where did you get the signs and symptoms one? What website's that from?
It is the mayoclinic.org. Diseases, conditions, hoarding disorder. Hold on.
Okay.
Hoarding disorder.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, and what's next?
These are the things that people say when they're hoarding and why they do it.
Okay.
They believe these items are unique or will be needed at some point in the future.
Of course.
How many times do you hear them say that, like on the show or in our case, consignment store, things like that?
When we worked at the consignment store and people would bring in their items, they would do like a sales pitch.
To us, who
right.
So our job was the intake, it was called.
Right.
And we kind of know what sells and what doesn't,
right.
what the value is.
And we couldn't take things that didn't typically sell in the store because that would take up shelf space and
it's real estate.
not sell. So there was kind of a criteria there, but people would give you their pitch and it was highly emotional. Grandma hung on to this for 40 years.
This is really valuable.
Yeah.
Sorry, no, not anymore.
And at the same time, I'm on the other side of that sometimes when I'm taking my things in for consignment and I'm like, wait, they didn't take that?
Right.
Because we're emotionally attached to our stuff. Yeah. It's a fact.
Yeah, it is a fact. And so, leading to the next point, the items have important emotional significance.
Ta-da. We didn't even practice that.
I know. Serving as a reminder of happier times or representing beloved people or pets.
Yes.
Okay. They feel safer when surrounded by the things they save. Mm-hmm. I've been witness to that.
Well, they're emotionally attached.
Yeah.
And their emotions are in these things, and that's how they feel like soothed or comforted or whatever.
Yeah, I think it's a sense of control too.
Yeah.
Like, I have these things. Nobody can take this from me.
Yeah.
You know? And they don't want to waste anything. That's
true.
Huge.
It is huge.
Oh, yeah. Especially those people that hoard food.
And if you've grown up in a situation where there was scarcity of any sort, you might develop these emotional attachments to things like, hey, I remember when we didn't have that stuff.
Yeah.
And it was hard to find or hard to come by.
Yeah.
Now I've got plenty of it.
Right. Yeah. Oh, my gosh. Yes.
Yeah.
So true. And again, I'll just say that hoarding disorder is different from collecting. People who collect, who have collections, such as, stamps, model cars, whatever, trophies, whatever, deliberately search out specific items and categorize them and carefully display their collections. So if you are, we loosely say things like, you're hoarding troll dolls, whatever.
Why did you pick that?
Yeah, we say that, but that's not hoarding. That's collecting.
Yeah.
They can be large, and they can even be clutter-like.
Yeah.
But it doesn't, they don't normally cause distress and impairments that are part of the hoarding disorder.
Okay.
Yeah. Just a little bulletin there for you all. PSA.
Okay, you got anything else over there?
No.
Well, encouragement to find support and get some help if you're on that cusp with yourself, or probably more likely if it's affecting you through someone that you love.
Yeah.
Because I think it's kind of a rare thing that someone who is in the midst of a hoarding situation, that they are the ones to really seek out the professional help.
Yeah.
It's typically a loved one.
Yeah.
Or the county or the village is going to come and take your property because it's not safe.
Yeah.
And
or your children. Whatever.
Yeah.
Right.
So then you got to figure that out.
Yeah.
All right. Well, can I talk about my clutter?
Yeah.
Are we ready now for Tracy's clutter?
Tracy is like
a child.
Okay. Yes.
Okay. I'm a 56-year-old child.
She seems bursting at the seams. That's so funny. And I know it when you say things like, anything else? Anything. It's like a polite way to be like, is it my turn yet?
Well, I don't want to leave out
I know.
any of the important research
I know.
that you've done, Cathrine. You've got a notebook and you wrote things down and there's multiple pages, and I respect that.
Make mental note of that.
Yes, I respect it. All right, my turn.
Yeah.
Clutter. You know this because we're besties, but people listening may not know it. My husband and I have been married for 33 years, and we raised 5 boys.
Yeah.
They are now men. They are all out and about, and we cannot stop smiling. It was a season. It was great.
A long season.
It was a long season. I had preschoolers for 17 years.
And you had children right away. You had your first one right away.
Right. We got pregnant in the 2nd month of our marriage, and so we had that baby before our first anniversary. I don't advise that. I say,
oh my gosh,
take some time. Travel. Get to know each other.
Wow.
Get a TV. We didn't have a TV.
Yeah.
So what else is there to do? Anyway, it took you a minute.
Well,
Well, it's 8:00. You're done with and you didn't have the internet then.
Yeah.
You didn't have anything. We used to play volleyball with a balloon in the hallway of our apartment. You can
really?
Yeah, because you just entertain yourself.
I did not know that.
Yeah, I can picture us right now, just like, and then like, oh,
that's funny.
Done with that.
2 kids.
Well, we were kids basically. Anyway, that's not the point. The point is, We had a lot of stuff to manage with 7 people in the house. Just think about the amount of shoes, right?
I know.
And thankfully they weren't
Jackets.
girls. Jackets, right? Rollerblades, sleds.
It's giving me
Sorry.
anxiety.
Jackets, yeah, like the snow pants.
Yes.
We had a huge tub of snow pants that we hung on to for 20 years. Why? Because the next one was going to fit into the snow pants.
I know, right.
For a season, for about 2 decades, clutter was really a thing that had to be managed constantly. Food.
Yes.
Right? For a big family.
Yeah.
Clothes.
Yeah.
Laundry. Paper. The artwork.
The school papers were unbelievable, in addition to the mail.
You know,
I
think
used to hate that.
I hear moms today that they're concerned about the kids are on the digital iPad a lot because it's kind of gone that way, digital.
Right.
However, I'm saying maybe there's some balance there because they're not doing so much with paper. But I don't know because they didn't have iPads when my kids were that little. You know, they just came home with a stack of papers every single day. And every single day, times 5, boys, you got to look through the envelopes.
I could not keep
folders.
up with it.
Yeah. Me neither. And that's why one time during Christmas break, I didn't go through the backpacks. I was over it. And guess what? Pretty soon I could smell the backpacks. One of my kids brought home his chocolate milk. And during Christmas, it did what milk does.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah. I'm here to tell you, friends, if you're in that mode, give yourself some love, pat yourself on the back, and seek the help wherever you can find it. One resource that I loved and still love is the Fly Lady.
Yeah.
I love her. I forget her name, Marla something. But anyway, FLY stands for Finally Loving Yourself.
Oh.
And this woman, she's a Southern woman, Christian woman, but she struggled in this area to the point of embarrassment. She was married to a guy who was either a lawyer or a judge or something like that. And somebody dropped in unexpectedly. I'm going to tell you what. Back in the day, if you were coming over to my house, I needed to know when. What day? What time? How long are you going to stay? Are you going to have to use the bathroom when you come in or no? Are we going to be able to do this without that? Because I need time to prepare.
Yeah.
Well,
Get the shovel.
One time, my friend Sue Dracoli.
Oh, this is so funny.
She came
Oh my gosh. It's funny when she tells it.
I know, because she was mortified. She still remembers this. I broke my foot somehow playing volleyball. I tore my ankle. I couldn't walk. I was in serious pain. And I'm on the couch. Now, I needed help. Sue came over to help. And I was stuck. I couldn't get up. She came over to help with the laundry. She has one child.
Yeah.
She came over to do the laundry. And she was like, It was a mountain. She didn't know where to start. And I'm like, I don't know. So, and then she was at the house for a while and she had to go use the bathroom.
Yeah.
And I'm like, go over there. I don't know what it looks like. Well, it wasn't pretty. It was unpleasant.
Yeah.
And she's still my friend, you know?
Yes.
She's still hung in there.
Yeah. Lovely.
We're not in that season right now. So I just want to give moms who are in that role. I used to beat myself up. Like I felt bad about myself. So getting back to this Marla, this finally loving yourself lady, she was kind of in that mode of I'm not good enough. Why can't I get control of this? You know, whatever it was. And she came up with this system of shine in your sink every night before you go to bed or something like that. And you get dressed in the daytime, you know?
Yeah.
And you put your shoes on, meaning you mean business. Like,
yeah, you feel ready
like you're ready to go.
Yeah. You got a purpose.
Right. And making your bed and it's something else. But whatever her system is, it's filled with a bunch of grace for yourself and for other people. So I love her. And if you're looking for some support, look her up. The Fly Lady.
Why is the name Marie Kondo or Marie?
Oh,
who's she?
She's the one who
organized.
Yeah, she's an organizer, and her stuff went viral before the pandemic.
Yeah. Okay. Well, actually, way before that.
It was, and I kind of wonder, like, if she had gone viral during the pandemic, I wonder what this world would look like. It would probably just be all neat and tidy.
Is she the one that advises to take, like, for example, your clothes, and to take every piece of clothing you own, pile it on your bed, and then look at it like that, and then decide what can you get rid of? I did that.
Did you?
Yeah, Lisa Kurzawa came over and did that.
Nice.
With me, and that was so helpful and cathartic.
Right.
But yeah, when you see your clothes, every bit of it laid out on your bed, a big heaping, we're talking your underwear, everything. Mm-hmm.
And even the stuff that is in our climate in Chicago, we have different extremes. And so some of us might put the seasonal things to the side or store them in a place that's not like right in your closet. She tells you get all that stuff.
Yes.
Get everything.
Right.
And pile it up. And then she has you lift up one item, and if it doesn't spark joy, that's her term, I believe.
Yes.
If this doesn't spark joy, it has to go somewhere else.
And say goodbye to it. And that
you
whole
say
thing. Like
thank
a
you.
little ritual.
You have to say thank you to your stuff.
Okay, so then I had Kenny do it.
Oh, boy.
I didn't tell him, though. I put all of his stuff on the bed. He comes home. He's like,
What's happening? You're out, Kenny. I'm done with you.
I did kind of give him a heads up. But because he's not a hoarder, but he likes to not throw out anything. I mean, well, like he's got so many T-shirts because, you know, at work they give out T-shirts for this or that or whatever they do. And he does not like to get rid of them, or hats. He doesn't even wear hats anymore. Like
jackets.
The baseball.
He's got a ton of jackets.
And a ton of jackets.
Yeah.
And tools.
Okay,
this is becoming like complaining. But on the other hand, remember when you and I used to go garbage picking, and we would take things and we'd say, "But we're gonna flip this. We're gonna do this or that with it." Right. So there's that perspective too.
Right. Well, what happened when you put all of his clothes on the thing and he came home and said, "What's happening?"
Well, he did realize how many T-shirts he's had, and like shirts that he had for like 20 plus years.
Yeah. And
so he did.
He scaled back?
He scaled back.
Well, there. Well, very good. Well, all that to say, there's hope for all of us because wherever we are, we got there somehow. But we can improve. Yeah. Whether we're just struggling with a little bit of clutter that's sort of annoying, or if we're on the opposite end of the spectrum and we're a full-blown hoarder and we need professional help in a dumpster. Like
Martha.
Today. Yeah, let's talk about Martha.
Let's talk about Martha.
Poor Martha.
So on the A&E Hoarders episode, usually they have a couple people, you know, that they're doing. But this one spotlight was just on Martha. And poor Martha, she had an adult daughter. It was her only child.
She was a retired secretary, friends.
She was a retired secretary, which is like, you just wonder, how does somebody who for a living had to be organized.
Right. You have to
get to this point.
Right.
So she has a daughter and this daughter didn't talk to her for 2 to 3 years. And the daughter even says, her name's Elania, I think, Elania. And she says, you know, they tried to have an intervention and it didn't go well. So she didn't talk to her mom, and her exact words were for 2 to 3 years. And I thought to myself, wow, she's not even sure if it's 2 or 3, that's a whole year.
Right.
You know, but so all that to say, there's so much pain involved for not only the person who's suffering, but I think the family members suffer maybe even more. Because the person who's suffering with the disorder of the hoarding, they don't really see it as a problem. Even though family members and friends may not come visit anymore. And, well, I don't know, because usually people are isolated.
When I watched that episode, I did feel, I kind of felt equally bad for the mom and the daughter. It's hard to place
it is
a measurement on who is suffering more.
Yeah.
Because, we don't know what their feelings really are. They're trying to express them. Sometimes they can't even put their finger on it. But I felt heartbroken for Martha.
Yeah.
Because she didn't want to be in the place where she found herself.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt heartbroken for her daughter as well, because obviously this problem was a huge barrier to them connecting
relationship
as mother and daughter.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't have forever on this earth, you need to figure this stuff out so that you can go forward for as long as you do have.
Right. And the daughter was so upset because of the thought of, so her mother, Martha, lived with her parents, which would be the grandparents to the Selania.
Right.
And the thought of her 90-year-old grandfather and grandmother living in that mess really upset the daughter.
It did.
And
she gave examples of the grandparents telling her, I just want to go home.
Yeah.
I don't like it here.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
Yeah. So that was very upsetting to see that. And anyway, so all that to say that, the doctor comes in, and then the person that's specializes in decluttering and some counseling, they were working on it. And in this case, Martha, the mom, she was able to, at first she was saying, okay, yeah, just get rid of that. And then they were, the doctor was concerned because she was so passive about it. And she was kind of like, whatever. Well, not quite with a chip on her shoulder, but she was putting it in the hands of her daughter. And the real concern was that later she would have resentment and not have a sense of control over the matter. And so they wanted to make sure she wasn't going to re-hoard.
Right. Which
that's
seems
the main
like
goal.
Valid points on the professional's part.
Yeah.
But you also have to remember that it's a TV show. And if they don't have a conflict, they don't have a
I know.
TV show.
I thought that too, you know. But at the same time, I could see where
it's valuable for her to make the decisions and to accept the responsibility of the decision. Mm-hmm. I've made the decision to get rid of XYZ. Mm-hmm. If I miss it down the road, oh, well, I made that decision.
Yeah.
Where if the daughter made the decision, then she could go, it's your fault that I'm feeling this now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of the daughter, so she's making a lot of progress on that first day, and she's throwing out trash that her mother said, yeah, go ahead. So she's feeling good, right? Well, then these professionals are saying, wait. Your mother she didn't have a chance to go through all of these bags. And the daughter, who I'm rooting for, she says,
Who cares?
She's agreeing
right.
to doing this, and there's no way we could go through every single thing. This is paper.
Right.
And some clothes or, something like that. And they were really pressing the daughter and saying, this is upsetting. And the daughter says, well, to who? To you or to my mother?
Good for her for sticking up for herself, I think.
And I'm sitting there watching it going, yeah, she's making progress. And the mom is fine.
Yeah.
And then the daughter points out that we only have 2 more days. And then the professionals are like, the goal isn't just to clean the house, blah, blah, blah. But I thought it was a really good episode.
I thought it was too. Mm-hmm. And in the end, with Martha, she did get her act together. She got the house cleaned.
And she agreed to the therapy
counseling
afterward.
Hopefully she's still going strong.
Yeah. But watching her say things like Martha, watching her say things as the process is unfolding. The doctor had asked her, do you have problems throwing things out? And she's like, oh, no. And then she says, well, not anymore. I was just amazed at the denial, what they're really going through and the way they really think. They're in huge denial. Like, no, I don't have a problem. And you look around and there's all kinds of things, and there's unopened boxes. And
and I'm sure that for many people who have suffered to that degree of a disorder with hoarding, I'm sure that they have found, well, maybe they do have some success, but then they can regress.
Yeah.
Right back to where they were.
Yeah, right.
Or worse.
Yeah.
Like yo-yo dieting. I mean, been there, done that, am that. Up, down, up, down,
So
up, down,
many
up, down.
things.
You know, but we can't let that stop us from seeking improvement.
Definitely not.
We can't let that stop us. And my encouragement would be on a low level, like if you're listening and you've got a clutter issue and you have the resources to pay a professional to come in and be supportive of you, go for it.
Mm-hmm.
Find somebody like little Emily Smith. I don't even know if she still does it.
I don't know.
She's a mom now, so now she's probably all cluttered and it's out of control.
Right.
But find somebody in your network, in your area, whatever, who can maybe come in and give you an afternoon and just give you that catalyst to get you started. They're well worth their weight in gold.
Also, if you can't seek, professional help that you have to pay for, open up to somebody who you think you can trust, a neighbor or whatever. And I'm saying this because it seems like in most cases, it's a private matter.
Yeah.
And there's pride involved.
Oh, yeah.
And so don't worry about that because people are so much more willing to help than you think.
Right. Just like you mentioned that Lisa came and helped you with your clothes.
Yeah, exactly.
And when you have someone else in the room who's not emotionally attached to your items, it really helps you to diffuse your own emotional attachment.
Yeah, and it does have to be someone who you trust, who will say, okay, they're not coming in like the Gestapo, you have to get rid of this, and that. Somebody who is understanding, who's going to give you a little bit of leeway and control.
Yeah, because when it comes to clothes especially, you know when you bought it, you know where you bought it. It might even have the tag on it, so you might know exactly how much you paid for it. You know the size that it is and the size that you are. So these are all things that you know for a particular item. But the person who might be helping you with it, they don't know any of that.
Right.
All they see is,
yeah.
It's out of style. Don't get rid of it.
Yeah. But if you trust that person to, listen to you and your wishes.
Yeah.
Then there you go.
Well, I think that's a good thing to do. And that's kind of our call to action is if you see the signs of anything that we've talked about on any level of the spectrum, find somebody to help you. That's the call to action.
Yeah.
Either, as we just mentioned, a trusted friend or neighbor, or all the way up to a professional person to come in. It's well worth it for you to invest in your own health.
Yeah.
And your brain is an important part of the body. I'm just saying. Mental health is important.
On that note, too, some communities have agencies that help with hoarding problems. So check with your local county government to find out for resources.
Because they don't want your tractor sitting in the middle of the lawn.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, let's get to our inspirational close.
Yeah, let's do that.
You know what? I didn't call up the scripture, so I will call it up now. Sorry, friends.
I have it.
Oh, good. Okay. So why don't you tell them about the 3 different passages and what we kind of talked about.
Okay. We have Matthew 6:19 through 21. I would encourage you to look that up. Luke 12:33 through 34, which we're going to read that one. And also the parable from Jesus in Luke 12:16 through 21.
Right.
Okay. But we decided to read Luke 12:33 through 34. Sell your possessions and give to those in need. This will store up treasure for you in heaven, and the purses of heaven never get old or develop holes. Your treasure will be safe. No thief can steal it, and no moth can destroy it. Wherever your treasure is, there the desires of your heart will also be.
Yeah, and that scripture sort of summed up the others. So if you go back and look at, again, I'll say the references. It's Luke 12:16 through 21, Matthew 6:19 through 21, and then this one, Luke 12:33 and 34. All 3 passages talk about our physical stuff and our spiritual life.
Yeah.
So it's comparing the physical to the spiritual. And the bottom line is the spiritual is more important. It's more important because it lasts. And therefore, store up your treasures in heaven and really look to God, for the answers.
Yeah, and that reminds me of in Genesis, when the Israelites were taken out of Egypt and God provided for them manna that fell from the sky, and he said, do not store for yourselves any more than just for today.
Yeah.
Because his provisions would
be the next day.
And the faith comes that God will give it, right?
Right.
So that is, again, that's the same common thread that these scriptures are saying as well.
And these are principles because, I sometimes I can be guilty of this too. And I know that the greater church is guilty of sometimes pulling out of context one scripture and trying to give it a blanket statement or blanket application. But the principle here is what we wanted to go for.
Right.
Because you can interpret these things in extreme ways one way or the other. But if you pull out the principle that our spiritual life really is more valuable and more important than our physical life or anything. We came into this world with 0 things. We're leaving with nothing. It's all going to be left behind. So figure out what you're going to do with it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, this has been interesting. And next week, stay tuned. It's the Trash Talk Bin.
Yes.
So much fun.
I know.
I love the Trash Talk Bin. It's based on Ephesians 4:29. Look it up and be prepared because it's a fun little cathartic exercise.
We have a fun story about that too, how that began.
Do. Yeah.
Yeah. And the one after that is on the most common profession for women. Or the most common. Yeah. I'm looking forward to that.
It's not the oldest one, I hope.
Yeah, okay. It's not the post office.
Well, you've been listening to the Life Happens, Laugh Anyway podcast. I'm still comedian Tracy DeGraaf.
I'm still Cathrine.
And see you next time.